The following scripture is from the book of Matthew 28, verses 1 through 10. After the Sabbath, at dawn on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to look at the tomb. There was a violent earthquake, for an angel of the Lord came down from heaven and, going to the tomb, rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his clothes were white as snow. The guards were so afraid of him that they shook and became like dead men. The angel said to the woman, "Do not be afraid, for I know that you are looking for Jesus, who was crucified. He is not here. He has risen, just as he said. Come and see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples, he is risen from the dead and is going ahead of you into Galilee. There you will see him. Now I have told you." So the woman hurried away from the tomb, afraid yet filled with joy, and ran to tell his disciples. Suddenly, Jesus met them. "Greetings," he said. They came to him, clasped his feet, and worshiped him. Then Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid. Go and tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There they will see me."
Amazed by the music. Anybody already been amazed by the music? Yes, thank you, thank you. Indeed, Christ is risen. That's right. In an Easter letter this week, yes, pastors write each other Easter letters, nerdy as it may sound. But this one wasn't a nerdy letter, it was a sweet letter. A friend of mine wrote to me about her mother in her Easter letter. She writes, "Toward the end of Mom's life, as she was withdrawing into the twilight of forgetfulness, one of the delights we shared was walking through a public garden. On a sunny spring stroll, Mom exclaimed, 'Ooh, isn't that beautiful?' Her eye was captivated by the electric blue blossoms crouched alongside our path. We paused and marveled at the delicate flowers, broadcasting such intense color. As we walked on, not another 10 feet further, Mom's eye fell upon another patch of these same flowers. 'Oh, look at that! Aren't they lovely?' As if for the first time. And so it continued along the way. Time and again, Mom saw these graceful flowers, each time as if for the first time, receiving them as the extraordinary gifts they were, God's glory in living color.' I love that my friend could look at that bittersweet time of Mom's memory loss as a beautiful memory. For in her twilight years, my friend's mom was constantly looking for something amazing with the wondrous eyes of a child. Everything was new on her walks with her mother. Her mom was expecting the unexpected, as children so often do on a first adventure or a trip to a new place for the first time. But most of us do not walk around with that wondrous attitude of expect the unexpected or wait for something amazing to happen. And so we come to our scripture today. On that first Easter Sunday, the women were not expecting something amazing. They had just watched Jesus suffer and die on the cross. They weren't expecting to find anything except grief and a tomb of sorrow. But suddenly an earthquake, an angel from heaven shimmering like lightning, guards frozen in terror. And then the angel speaks. Do not be afraid. He is not here. He is risen. He is risen indeed. And so the women go into the tomb, they see the emptiness, and then they rush back to the disciples, prepared to share this. But now that the risen Christ is right there, calling to them, greetings. And then the first commission from the risen Christ, go and tell my brothers. And so the women go in amazement and wonder, telling the disciples that something amazing has happened. He is risen. He is risen indeed. There's a phrase of Matthew's gospel. First, the women are invited to be amazed by the angel messenger. And then, awakened by that messenger, they see Jesus and they worship him in awe and amazement. And then they are sent to invite others to be amazed. Later, the men will do the same. First, the men will be invited to amazement by the women messengers. And then, alerted by the women, the men will see the risen Lord. And then Jesus will send them to invite others to be amazed. The Easter story invites all of us to be amazed. When was the last time you were amazed? When you heard the first chords come out of the choir's mouth? Perhaps when you held a newborn child? Or stared at a particularly colorful sunset? Or sat in the doctor's office and heard remission, all is well? Or gazed into a lover's eyes and realized, you are the one. These moments of amazement are often what fuel us through the humdrum days and the troubled times. When the colicky newborn has awakened you for the fourth time in one night, it's the memory of that precious newborn smell that somehow gets you through the sleepless evening. When the fog rolls in and you can't hardly get out of bed for the morning gloom, maybe the vision that another brilliant sunset might break through by the end of the day can help you get up and face the day. Or when you start to feeling sick and tired and wondering, I sure hope it's not back. The memory of that good news and that compassionate doctor gives you the courage to pick up the phone and make an appointment. Or when your partner has irritated you to the edge of your temper. I'm sure that doesn't happen to many of you, but it happens to me every once in a while. Remembering that deep awareness of falling in love somehow allows you to laugh at the absurdity of the most recent argument and even forgive and move on. Every year, people around the world recall that first Easter morning. It's a story so amazing that most people can hardly believe it. And even so, we read these scriptures, we sing these songs, and we proclaim Christ's resurrection. He is risen. He is risen indeed. We are invited to be amazed. We are invited to worship in awe and amazement. A God who is so amazing that he would not let even death stop the message of amazing love shown to us in Christ Jesus. We are part of an amazing story, and we are invited to share this amazing story. It happens every time we share amazing love and grace with one another. It happens every time we share amazing love and grace with a stranger. It happens every time we offer amazing love and grace to ourselves. But sharing amazing love
Sharing amazing grace takes fuel. And that fuel comes when we experience God's presence all around us and deep within us. So God invites us to notice the amazing miracles of God's presence, God's amazing grace, each and every day. The amazing bloom of a California spring after a long drought. The amazing miracle of a healthy child growing up before your very eyes. The amazing surprise of a long sought-after dream finally coming true. The amazing gift of a family member who loves you through thick and thin. Notice the amazing miracles God works in our lives each and every day. I know it's easy to fail to notice, but the extraordinary blessings are showered upon us by God over and over again, day by day. And when we remember that God invites us to be amazed, we open our eyes. We start to notice the amazing gifts and miracles all around. When we remember that Christ calls us to approach the kingdom like little children, we open our minds to wonder and awe so that we can notice those little blue flowers along the path as miraculous gifts. Accept the invitation to be amazed and notice how often God lifts people up out of discouragement. Notice the miracle of seeing how God can help a friend overcome their previous self-hatred. Accept the invitation to be amazed and notice how often God lights the way for people who are lost in darkness and despair. The alcoholic who finds her way to an AA meeting is a miracle. The indebted young father who finally calls his parents for help is an extraordinary gift. And the frightened student who turns to a trusted teacher for guidance is equally amazing. God offers a light, and somehow they see a way forward to a new beginning. It's a miracle. Even in the face of death, God lights a way. Conversations with her dying young adult child. "Mom," he said, through eyes bright with tears, "if we understood it fully, death would be as beautiful as birth. You get to be with me through both." It was his affirmation of faith from the depths of despair at leaving his parents all too soon that even death could not separate them from their love for one another and their love of God. Amazing grace, amazing love in that special moment between parent and child. Accept the invitation to be amazed and notice the wonder of people all around you. It's okay to look around. It's okay. Notice the wonder of people all around you. It's Sunday morning, and there are people here worshiping God, sharing in fellowship and discipleship together as we seek to grow in our love of God and our love of neighbor. Take a look around when you go to Easter brunch today, or next time you're at Starbucks or Zinc, and notice the miracle of people connecting and conversing and sharing, and the miracle of abundant food prepared before our very eyes. Accept the invitation to be amazed and discover how God can light your way. Even when you're simply stuck in the mundane, the busyness, the routine of just getting through each and every day. Have you ever seen the Incredibles movie, the first one? Yeah, it's a superhero who has to become an insurance salesman. Not his happiest day. And there's a little neighbor boy who sits in front of his house every morning on his tricycle blowing bubbles, and Mr. Incredible, getting into his car, going to a job he hates, says, "What are you waiting for? And the little boy says, I don't know, something amazing. Wait for something amazing. He knew it was a superhero, even though Mr. Incredible didn't think he was still a superhero. Expect the amazing in the ordinary. When the predictability of life or the disappointments start to wear you down, go for a walk and look for a new bloom of flowers. When you're sitting at your job and you're resting at your desk and thinking, oh, I've got so much to do, take a minute and think about something you love in your work. When you're feeling sad and lonely, close your eyes and bring to mind the person whom you cherish most on this earth. At the end of a long day, reflect on that day and see, where was God present along the way? Or look back on your year and give thanks for the miracles of love and grace you encountered. Ordinary days filled with extraordinary miracles. The women thought it was an ordinary day of visiting a grave. They might have just walked away from that empty tomb, confused and bewildered. They might have looked up in their grief and noticed a stranger standing there, and they might have walked right on past the risen Christ, blinded by their tears and their anguish. But an earthquake and an angel came first to wake them up from their sorrow, to lift up their sorrowful hearts, and to open their eyes to new possibilities. And then invited them to be amazed. He is not here. He is risen. He is risen indeed. Easter is an invitation to all of us. He is not here. He is risen. He is risen indeed. Christ is not stuck in this church building. He's not stuck in a dusty Bible on your bookshelf. Christ is everywhere, in our world, in our very midst. Christ is not stuck in the ancient story of lives of disciples long past. Christ is in your story. Christ is in your story. Christ is definitely in your story. Christ is in your love and your grace, in your service and your discipleship in the world. Lift up your hearts. Lift up your eyes. Accept the invitation to be amazed. Wonder is all around. New life is in our very midst. Resurrection is real, if only we wake up and pay attention to all the invitations to be amazed. My friend closed out her letter. Mom's memory loss gave her the gift of fresh awareness. She wasn't laden with a tired, seen one, seen 'em all attitude. Rather, she was delighted to discover the miracle of new life time and again anew. Though she died nearly 7 years ago, my heart burns within me every time I see bright blue flowers tucked into the rocks along a garden path. Mom is very near. Jesus lives, and love never ends. Lift up your hearts, my friends. Love never ends. Open your eyes. Christ is risen. Christ is risen indeed.